Hey friends, it's Tracy, and welcome to another episode of the Emo Sub Pod. Tonight we are going to talk to you about when people think that they know what's going on inside your brain, and they won't take no for an answer. So recently I've experienced this myself in a close relationship, and it has been difficult to navigate. There have been a lot of assumptions that have been made, actually on both sides, but the whole thing has been exceedingly triggering for me because all of my trauma has happened in a relationship. Yay, fun. So in relationship is where I have to heal, and when the relationship is not healing, it's like nails on a chalkboard. And a high-pitched hiss that you can't quite identify where it's coming from, and a rock in your shoe, between your sock and your shoe, and a paper cut on your index finger when you're washing dishes. Like, all of these things all at once, and it's awful. So I have discovered in the last few days that I have actually been in like a shutdown / overwhelm type state for off and on for a few months now, because I was actually ignoring my internal signals that will let you know if you are calm enough and quiet enough and still enough to pay attention and listen. You get like signals in your body that when you've been through years and years of abuse, or years and years of being kept in a hyper aroused state where you're just full of adrenaline, like domestic violence, like prolonged war deployments, like being in a war zone where you never know where the next hit is going to come from. You never know where danger is going to like pop its ugly head up. For years, where was I going? Crap. Oh yeah, I had to ignore. I had to ignore all of those signals in my body, and so now that I am healing and I'm getting better, I'm learning that, hey, I had warning signs before this emotional meltdown, before everything felt like it was all falling apart. There were signs and there were signals that I was too busy, too caught up to pay attention to. And that is something that I have learned this week. So yay. Yay for learning more stuff. Never stop learning. It's important. So I am turning over a new leaf with all of my things. This is something I intend to do for as long as I can possibly keep it up. And that is, I have scheduled myself to record 2 things for Emo Sub Pod every week, as well as 2 nights of working on my other podcast that I do. The other solo podcast that I do, because I've got one that's a multicam and has an editor that I can't pay. If anybody wants to sponsor me, that would be okay. But the too long didn't read is this. When in relationship, it is important to not make assumptions and to not take things personally, because quite often the behavior of somebody else has nothing to do with you. It is something that was ingrained over the last however many years that they've been alive, Started to say married, but I meant alive. And these are patterns. And if you haven't known them for very long, you don't know what is underlying those patterns. It might look like any number of things, but you cannot attribute malice or ill intent until you've asked the person what's going on with them, and maybe walked a mile or two in their shoes, and maybe thought about things from their perspective. And this is something that we should, all of us, keep in mind. We should not assume that anybody understands us or that we understand anybody else without asking questions. And that is part of why I love being an unmasked autist. Because I just ask the questions and I'm not offended. Like, if you ask me questions, I will straight up answer you. I will probably tell you more than what I actually intended to tell you, but I'm working on that. That's why nobody trusts me with state secrets. Yay. But we should not assume that that we actually know where somebody's coming from. We should not assume that we know what's in their heads, because that's really disrespectful of the fact that we have a voice and we have the capacity and the intellect that is requisite to ask a question, to formulate a query to this other person and say, hey, where are you coming from with that? What did you mean by that? Can you clarify that? I think the world would be a whole lot better place if we strove to understand each other a little bit better. What do you think? Please let me know in the comments below. Or if you've ever had struggles with anything like this, maybe we can spitball some ideas. I've got tons of things that I have tried over the years that have helped me, some more, some less. All you gotta do is ask. Because if you don't ask, I don't know what you want to know. So, thank you. I'll be back in a few days.